Good morning, class. So today I've come back again for the class, alright, and today I will be starting a new chapter named My Home Environment from My Reminiscence. So it is written by Rabindranath Tagore. So I hope all of you know who is Rabindranath Tagore and you'll have seen his photographs also. So Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize for Poetry, but his prose is enduring. So he was awarded a Nobel Prize for Poetry, alright, but his prose is very, very enduring. That means he used to write very good proses. He dabbled in many prose forms, letters, memoirs, dramas, essays, but his most comprehensive achievement was perhaps his novels. He loved the Bengali countryside and maintained close contact with the village folk. So all of us, we know about Shantiniketan, isn't it? So he was the founder of Shantiniketan also. The humble lives and the small miseries find such space in his work. So he was very much fascinated with the Bengali family, with Bengali traditions, right? That's why he used to write more about Bengali family. So in this chapter, he has written about his cousins Ganendra and Gundendra and what kind of lifestyle did he have, what kind of childhood did he have with his cousins. Alright, so here he talks about family. So he asks the question, what is a family? So all of us, we have a families, isn't it? We are so attached to our parents, to our siblings, to our cousins. So he is asking, what is a family? What do family members do for each other? So there's a question, isn't it? So what does the family members do for us? They what? What do? They support us, they care about us, isn't it? What can I do for the people in my family? So he's asking questions to us, saying that what can I do? What can you do for your family? What have I learned from my family? So what are the values have you learned from your family? So he's just discussing about his family, especially his cousins, all right, in this chapter. So children, I'll be sending you the PDF content of this chapter. So please go through it whenever you get time or whenever the class gets over, you can read the chapter content. All right, I'll be sending the whole chapter content till page 32. So you can go through it. Okay. So now let's read about the atmosphere and family life in Rabindranath Tagore's childhood home. So he is talking about his house, all right, where he had spent his childhood with his cousins. One great advantage which I enjoyed in my younger days was the literary and artistic atmosphere which pervaded our house. Pervaded means spread. So they were all into literary works. They were all writers and poets and all. That's why he was fascinated with all of them. I remember how when I was a quiet child, I would be leaning against the veranda railings which overlooked the detached building comprising the reception rooms. So whenever he would be alone, he remembered that he was a quiet child. That means he was an introvert, all right, and he would go outside the veranda in the railings and he would just see the people coming and going in his house. Because his family belonged to an aristocratic family. That means they were quite rich, well off, all right, and many people used to keep coming to their house. These rooms would be lighted up every evening. So he had a very, very spacious, large house where these rooms would be lighted every evening. That means every evening, all the rooms in his house would be lighted. The lights would be on. Splendid carriages would draw up under the portico. Portico means a structure made up of a roof supported by pillars that is usually attached as an entryway to a building. So, huge, beautiful carriages would come. So, in the olden days, the rich people used to travel in carriages. Alright? So they used to come into the house, all right, and they had a certain place where they would keep or park their carriages. And visitors would be constantly coming and going. So he would see from the veranda, from the railings, where many people would just come and go from his house. What was happening, I could not very well make out. So he did not know exactly what was happening in his house. But I would keep staring at the rows of lighted casements from my place in the darkness. Casements means windows. So he would get into the room, right, and you see from the windows. But he would not understand why so many people would be there in his house. The intervening space was not great. Intervening means existing between two objects. But the gulf between my infant world and these lights was immense. Gulf, there's a large difference, right? Because he was very, very young. He did not understand all those things. So that's why he found it very, very strange. My elder cousin Ganendra had just got a drama written by Pandit Tarkaratna and was having it staged in the house. So now his cousin Ganendra had written a drama, written by Pandit Tarkaratna. So that was being staged in his house. That means he had a very, very palatial house. There was a stage also in the house and they were enacting that drama in the house. His enthusiasm for literature and fine arts knew no bounds. So that his brother or his cousin Ganendra, he was very much into literature. He would write books, he would write stories, he would write dramas, and he was very, very much involved in it. He was the center of the group who seemed to have been almost consciously starving to bring out from every side the renaissance which we see today. So he was very much into literature, he was very much into acting, right, and he was very much in love with literature. A pronounced nationalism, pronounced nationalism, very noticeable support for the political independence of a nation. So he was into politics, he was a political person. So that's why he was so much in love with politics. In dress, literature, music, art and drama had awakened in and around him. So he would dress up like a politician also. He was a keen student of the history of different countries. So he was not only in love with literature, but as well as he was in love with the history of different countries. And had begun but could not complete a historical work in Bengali. So he had also started writing about different countries, history about different countries in Bengali, but he could not complete it. He had translated and published the Sanskrit drama Vikramavarsi and many a well-known hymn in his composition. So he was a very educated person, and he had published and translated the Sanskrit drama also. I was still a child when my cousin Ganendra died in the prime of his youth. So when his elder cousin died, Ravindernath was still very young. He was very, very small. But for those who have once beheld him, it is impossible to forget his handsome, tall and stately figure. So those who knew Ganendra, they would not be able to forget him, because he was not only good in literature, he was not only good in history and all, but as a person, as a human being also, he was very, very loving and friendly, and he was very, very smart and good looking. He had an irresistible social influence. That means he was very much involved with people. He liked being friendly with everyone. So he had a very friendly nature. He could draw men around him and keep them bound to him. So he was a very good orator also. He would speak very well because of his talents or because of his character. Everyone was close to him. So it was very impossible for the people to forget Ganendra. He was one of those type, a peculiar to a country. So he was also a very patriotic kind of person, who by the personal magnetism easily established themselves in the center of the family or village. So he was not only good to his family members, but he was also very friendly with everyone in his village or in his community. I remember still his younger brother, my cousin Gundendra. So Ganendra had another cousin whose name was Gundendra. He likewise kept the house filled with his personality. So he was also like his elder brother. His large, gracious heart embraced alike relatives, friends, guests, and dependents. So he was also very friendly and loving, and he was also very good, all right, like his brother. So everyone liked Gundendra as well. Whether in his broad south veranda or on the lawn by the fountain or at the tank edge on the fishing platform, he presided over self-invited gatherings like hospitality incarnate. Incarnate means in human form. So wherever he would be, he would get involved with everyone, all right? Everyone would love to be with Gundendra. His wide appreciation of art and talent kept him constantly radiant with enthusiasm. He was also very, very enthusiastic kind of person. New ideas of festivity or frolic, theatricals or other entertainments found him in a ready patron. So he was always into theatricals, he was always into drama, because they all belonged to those kind of family where everyone was involved in literature, art, dance and all. And with his help would flourish and find fruition. So after Ganendra passed away, Gundendra took over. So everyone would love spending time with him also. We were too young then to take any part in this doing, but Gundendra and Rabindranath, they were too young to get involved in all those family gatherings and those dramas and all. But the ways of merriment and life to which they gave rise and beat of the doors of our curiosity. But he was very, very curious to know what was happening in the house. I remember how a burlesque composed. Burlesque is a performance or piece of writing which tries to make something look ridiculous by representing it in a humorous way. So he remembers that his eldest brother had composed a burlesque which he wanted to enact in a very, very humorous way. Was once being rehearsed in my cousin's big drawing room. So they had all gathered in a drawing room and they were all rehearsing or practicing for that drama, which was very, very funny or hilarious. From our place against the veranda railings of a house, we could hear through the open windows opposite roars of laughter mixed with the strains of a comic song. So he could hear clearly what was happening in the other room or in the other side of the house, because everybody was laughing and they were all having fun. So children, please read the PDF content and I will stop here for today. Alright, till page 29, please read and I will see you all in the next class. Thank you.